Good evening, everybody, and welcome to, unfortunately, the final round of the NZSR GT3 series, coming to you live tonight from one of our all-time favourite tracks, Spa. And I am, as usual, your host, Stuart Brown, joined tonight again by, as usual, the partner in crime, Scotty Rankin. Welcome, Scotty.
Good evening, Stuart. I heard you replaced me last night. Did I hear correctly?
It's not a replacement when you're not normally commentating. So no, we had an additional commentator join the stream last night. We were lucky enough to have Chris Purnell jump into the booth from Virtual Motorsport Mentor and give us his insight into NASCAR racing. But I do need to let the crowd know that for a portion of that race, you were winning last night.
Yeah, I was. That was a strategy call. I was like, I actually want to find out how quick I am compared to everyone else on older tyres, and I called the restart perfectly and scout the field nice and perfectly and head down, and unfortunately you made a few mistakes after my last stop, and the race pretty much solved itself from there. But no, it was a bunch of fun. Constant improvement, which is what I was after. That's the only reason I entered the 87 series, and things are going the way that I wanted them to. So that's all there really is to say about that one. So much fun though, those cars.
Absolutely, yeah. We were talking about it in the stream that the whole strategy almost came right back to you last night. It was a good one for us to be able to broadcast. So. With Ed Foster taking out that series last night with one round to go. So we're getting to the climax of a couple of these series, including the one that we're here for tonight. So we're just going to we'll quickly do, before we get into too much, we're on a little bit earlier than normal tonight, 11 minutes before things get going. So what I'm going to do is bring up the current standings for this one here, NZSR GT3 series, brought to you by Rush Sim Racing and Sim Blacks. Dave Sanford wrapped this up last week, unless basically he has an absolute tragedy tonight. In fact, I don't even think that's going to help. He could have not turned up. So really our focus turns to Ian Bevan and Hamish Cullen, Caleb Curry, and Calix Poon still within touching distance. And in fact, so Scott Hasler. So really our top 2 through 6 drivers able to really shake up the second and third places here. It's even Bevan's to lose. And then certainly Hamish Clellens as well to miss out on. But anyone really from 6 onwards able to jump up into the top 3 places for this series.
So what we're going to be looking for from these drivers tonight. So Bevan's got a little bit of a buffer. So he's got that to play with mentally. So the pressures, it's still going to be there. And it is still going to be influencing his decision making, which is something for our audience just to be aware of. But the real guys that are under the pump are Cleland and Curry. They need to guarantee themselves a strong finish. Cleland and Curry, basically, whoever finishes in front of the other one is essentially going to tie themselves up third spot, provided Poon doesn't have a blinder and Curry and Cleland aren't running at the back of the pack because of some foolishness they got themselves involved in on lap 1. Now, when we talk in terms of all of those drivers, whether they will be involved in some sort of lap 1 shenanigans, no, they've been quite good at decision making, understanding what they're trying to do from their stints, where they're racing out on track. So I wouldn't expect anything too dramatic. From some of the guys that are down the standings, though, it's got to be put to them potentially tonight that, hey, we've got championships that we're just trying to put the finishing polish on. So maybe take it a little bit easier than you normally would tonight. Don't make some enemies for next season.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I would buy into that, to be brutally honest. I'd still be racing hard because racing is racing, but you do need to have that factor in mind. You need to be aware that those around you are looking to try and get their season concluded in the best way possible. So there will be a little bit of that. And we are at Spa, so turn 1 here, we're fortunate that there's a nice long run up the hill, but we then come...
Stuart, wrong track.
We're at Spa.
We're at Road America.
No, we're not. Shh. No, we're not. We're at Spa. So, nice long run up the hill here, and then basically we're able to... You've got me concerned now.
It's Road America.
It is
Stuart.
Road America. What have I done? Well, I'm still right though. There is a nice long run up the hill, followed by a right-hander, like there is at Spa. So look, we're not too far wrong in what we're describing here. But you are absolutely right. We are at Road America now. So I'll just go and sit in the corner and rock back and forwards, and I'll let Scotty take over the rest of the night. So enjoy yourselves, fellas. Thanks very much.
It's the second last night of most seasons that we're commentating and working on at the moment. So. Wires are a little bit crossed, people are afraid, and the weather's unseasonably warm, and it's thrown everyone all out of whack. And take your pick from the excuses, Stuart, if you want.
I most certainly will.
I know that you love Road America, and
I do.
Spa and Road America actually aren't all that different.
No.
You would run a higher downforce setup. Even though you're looking to maximize. Basically, you want to run the way that you would set up the cars for both Spa and Road America is you want to give yourself the lowest downforce setup that you feel safe on, because you are going to be on throttle and looking to accelerate to top speed as often as possible without losing any time in some of those kinks that we're going to be coming around. We've got downhill braking zones into the sharp left-hander before we come back up over the hill again. We've got third and fourth gear, first right-hander, down to, I believe, third gear again for the second right-hander, so corners 1 and 2. A lot of your back stretch, you've got your big sweeping bend right down the back corner of the track before you come along the back straight. There's a lot of these corners that are going to really work that left-hand front and rear tire exceptionally hard, and that's the defining feature of Road America.
Oh, I'm welcome back. Just checking that I'm welcome back. Yeah, no, that's good. So we're at Road America tonight, everyone. Welcome to this round. Yeah, I'm sure I'm broadcasting from Spa at some stage. So anyway, be that as it may, Scotty's described the track perfectly here. It is another one of my favourites between it and Spa, probably outside of Bathurst. And you know what? It's almost sacrosanct to say, but Bathurst in the top 10 now for me as favourite cars to race online, favourite tracks to race online. Not number one necessarily anymore, depending on the car. This track here is fantastic. It's got everything. Fast-paced corners, it's got hard braking zones, off camber, like you name it, this track brings it all as a driver's track. Yeah, really keen to see how the guys get around here tonight. And I think the places to watch, definitely as we're on board here with Dave Sanford, up over the crest here under the bridge. This is a very difficult corner. Sorry, it's not a very difficult corner. It's a very easy corner to get wrong. If you brake too late, there is a bump as you go into that corner that can upset the car and you run wide. So one to watch there, and then definitely down into the fast section at the back of the track here. This bit here that we're talking about now, you back down into second gear, try to get the car out, and it's really important to get on the throttle as early as you can here, and you got to then be patient as we get around through this big sweeper. It's a double apex corner. You've got to be real patient, and then you're on the throttle, and you've got to get on it early to maximise the lap time down through the back straight here, as Scotty touched on. So some of my favourite elements of the track, this bit here, you get that corner right, it feels awesome before you head down into the braking zone, and then you're flat out again up into the back of the track through this section here. So definitely a great driver's track. It's a good track to spectate from as well. There'll be plenty of action. Drafting is going to be important. But more so than anything, consistency is really going to be the key here. With such a long lap, if you get it wrong, you will not make it back up.
One of my favorite elements of this circuit is the fact that it creates overtaking opportunities. You really can't point at much of the track and go, you kind of can't really pass here. The track is wide enough. You know, when you build a track for NASCAR or more American styled series, as Road America is, what you're actually designing is a track that needs to be fun for NASCAR drivers to run on. And as such, that means that overtaking is paramount, because if North American audiences can't come in and watch their favorite drivers making overtakes regularly right throughout the lap, they're going to tune out, and that track is going to get cut as viewer numbers aren't high enough to sustain it. So when you're looking at pretty much any North American track that may be used in a road capacity for the NASCARs, that's some of the elements that you're going to see. And Road America, very atypical of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we spoke about it before, just to transgress a little bit here while the drivers are in the drivers' briefing with about 3 minutes to go in practice before we do our qualifying. We've got to unfortunately blow the trumpet a little bit that's Here Comes the Bride. It's not the right one, but Tommy Corbett, a no-show tonight. So 7th place, he will move out of 7th place. So Elliot Osborne, Xavier Simmons, with the opportunity there to close the gap up into a higher place, maybe a top 5 finish for them. So plenty to go on with here for this last round. And I guess being the last round as well, we need to touch on a little bit what it means for our streaming service. We do still have Super GT Thursdays coming to you. AEE is in its off week this week. This is actually a short night for Scotty and I. We only do the hour here. That's coming, and we are working with the series organisers here to bring you something else as we head into the back part of the year, including potentially a New Zealand based GT Series as well. So plenty to come on FGM ECast, so you don't need to worry too much about how you're going to occupy yourselves early on a Thursday evening. We will still be around, so look forward to sharing what we come up with you as that comes to light over the next week or so.
Tell you what, I've just tuning in to Brayton as he's running through the drivers briefing. He's actually mentioning some of the new content that's coming our way. So it looks like NZSR may actually be incorporating something to do with the new LMP2 cars. So
yes,
that's always good news. Gimme.
We've spoken about that as part of what we were talking about. So it's good that we can share that with the audience.
So I'm.
Do you want to tell the audience what that means?
What that means for us?
What did you just say? What is LMP2? What have we got?
LMP2 is Le Mans prototype. So unfortunately, our American viewers have to bid fair adieu to one of their favorite cars to be run, which is the HPD or the Daytona prototype, which is made by Chevrolet. So that's why they're a little bit disappointed. But coming in the next patch, which will be done sometime next week, in midweek 13, week 14, they're actually going to be running some development races for it, just to make sure that the track, the new tracks and new cars and all this sort of stuff that's coming does actually settle down quite nicely. It's going to be the Dallara LMP2 car. Now, as I've gotten myself further and further into iRacing, I've actually become more and more partial to Dallara as a brand. They are the guys that come up with the build for the F3 cars.
Yep.
So now they're going to have the LMP2 cars as well. So they're actually quite a well developed racing brand. They're not really... When you sort of think of what is Dallara and what are they trying to do, they're not anything like you would say Holden, Ford, Porsche, McLaren, where they're making road-going cars. That's not what they're after. They are making hard and fast, race-built specific cars.
Yeah,
is what they're after.
Yeah, like Lotus probably should have always done, and like Brabham is doing now. They're absolutely a race car building company.
So whenever you see a new Dallara car is making its way into iRace or any racing game, you know it's going to be a purpose-built race car. So like I said, F3, the fact that I had no clue until iRacing and I started diving into the F3, I went, nah, that's like iRacing's knockoff brand, a la Ricky Ponting Cricket. Do you remember those the names of all the players in Ricky Ponting Cricket? So I was thinking like, oh yeah, Dallara is like that. The more I delved into it, no, Dallara is actually a custom race car building brand. So it's really good to see and have my eyes opened through a game to something like this as well. Good to see.
Yeah, we basically get we've had a lot of updates over the last 4 months with iRacing, which is fantastic. It's a consequence of the number of people that are on it at the moment, and that's meant we've got a heap of cool new content, cars, tracks, etc., etc. So this is just the next part of that from iRacing, and I saw today as well a new Corvette joining the ranks, which they kept really, really secret. So that's going to be joining the GTE field, the C8R, and looking forward to seeing that one out on track as well. As
a new little gift for me to be running around in the GTE class. Although I've been spending a lot of time. Stuart and I, just before we went live with the broadcast as well, so Stuart's actually hasn't given himself enough time to actually spend in the Sims. So he hasn't been in the Sims since Monday, Stuart. But I've been whittling away. So GT3 cars this week are at the Charlotte Roval. Oh my god, it is a wreck fest. But boy, it's kind of like Bathurst because it's such a rewarding lap when you get it right.
Yeah, well, I've jumped into, we're doing a lot of prep work for our 2021 campaigns, and having said all of that, I then jumped into something different just to do a little bit of practicing, and jumped into the 911 GT, and I've now decided that I'm going to run that next year instead. So that's a great fun car to drive. It's difficult to drive. It's kind of like the V8 supercar. In that it rewards accuracy in terms of braking and things like that, but it's it's good fun. So we're going to focus a little bit on our qualifying here. So we're on board with Dave Sanford at the moment. He's got a purple first sector here. They've only got a short amount of time to do lone qualifying here. It's 10 minutes, and I believe it's 2 laps. So they've got to get it done. It's easy to score an off track here, particularly right where we are with Dave Sanford if you run wide. And there's another couple of opportunities as well. So they've got to get a banking lap in. That's going to be the important part for mine.
Banking lap that also brings the tyres up to temperature is always a good idea.
Absolutely.
And it's a good... Look, I can attest that getting a banker lap in is probably the best way to approach a 2-lap qualifying session. With our Bathurst attempt over the weekend on the GT3 cars of the 3-hour, just purely because we didn't set a banker lap and then went for a fast lap, we put ourselves so out of sync and having to dodge so many people that it was, it's not really worth it. The advantage that you can make, but just by setting a banker lap before you go out and throw the car at the circuit and see what you can wrestle out of it, is that, one, you've got that safety net, Worst comes to worst, you've got a banker lap down. Yeah, it's not going to be the quickest lap in the world, but you're going to be there or thereabouts with where you will be on pace. Number 2, you get a feel for the car. Rather than pushing straight away, you get this one lap that allows you to set yourself in, make some adjustments that you wouldn't normally be pushing as hard in, say, a race simulation during a practice session. And then, if everything does go wrong, well, yeah, maybe you're 3 or 4 places back on the grid than you normally would be. So that's, there's worse decisions that you can make.
So we're just starting to see the first of our driver laps come through here. Dave Sanford at 2:05.48, the best on track at the moment. Huge margin actually to Ian Bevan back to a 2:06.13. Then we've got a 6:34 for Waite, a 46 for Curry, and Hasler on a 78. So looks like that mid to early 2:05s is going to be the pace for the race, as we're waiting for some of our other front-running drivers to come through as well. Calix Poon just heading out there. Thanks very much for the like, Chris. Appreciate it. Calix Poon just heading out on track here now. Kalen Pratt getting an off track during his first lap. So a lot of our drivers here, including Callum, have unfortunately got off tracks during their first lap, which is exactly what we we're just talking about. Get that banker lap in. They've now got the pressure of making sure that they perform during this second lap before potentially starting out of sync with the other cars around them. So as we're just trying to identify here, Elliot Osborne's just done a 206.66. Scotty Hasler is still where he was, so just keeping an eye on these drivers as they get around. Hamish Clellan just starting out on his second lap around, having done a 207.18. So who am I looking for here? I reckon Paul Blomqvist. He's ducked into pit lane, so he might be chucking a fresh set of tyres on that one to do his second lap. Not necessarily the best strategy, so something's probably gone wrong there. We've got a number of guys that haven't qualified either. We've got 1, 2, 3, 2, 4. We've probably got about 10 guys that actually haven't done a banking lap at all on the basis of getting incident points during that lap. So not great for them. A little bit out of order for our start at this final round.
Yep, so, well, I guess probably the most opportune moment to talk about banker laps and how important they can be. And, well, we're seeing the evidence roll itself out on screen. Right now, David Sanford comes across the line. I don't think he improved on his second lap.
No,
he went
just slightly slower.
slower. Yeah,
just
so
slightly slower.
Bevan is right up there, so he's done all he can possibly do in terms of qualifying. Curry's right behind him. I'm looking for Cleland.
Yeah,
Cleland, P11.
Yeah, he's done. He's in pit lane. So he's not done. I think he got an off track, or he might have crashed the car and he's ejected. So he's gone back into pit lane. He'll start from 11th at this stage. Taylor Cockerton, who we're on board with now, coming around to complete his second lap. Not looking like he's going to improve on that performance unless he's got it done in the last sector there. He had an early green sector, but no, he has. He's got it done there. So 2:05.92, going just quicker than Ryan Wood. We've also got Ian Bevan out. He's just finished his last lap. He did a 2:06.13, but not good enough to move up the field. Elliot Osborne also finished it with a 6:66 as his best lap. So we've got just on 2 minutes to go now, so we are basically done and dusted. Anyone not run a lap by now, they will not get one done. So probably my highlight, actually, unfortunately, at this stage is Calix Poon, currently running inside the top 5 in our series, and he is way down the list, having not got through a lap without an off track. So we'll stick on board with him.
Well, he'd have to be on one, surely.
He is still on one, yeah. He hasn't done... his first lap did not count, so that banker lap we're talking about not put in. And with the qualifying format here, he has to get it done now, or he will start from basically the rear of the grid.
He's got a minute, so he's got more than enough time. Laps seems to be going quite well for him. Green sectors pretty much across the board, so pace seems good. As I believe Beecroft's just turned his second lap, can only go 2:09.98, so he's going to be running around at the back of the pack as well. Other drivers failing to qualify: Callum Pratt, Nelson Hartley, Harry Edwards, and Nathan Anderson. So Anderson's on track at the moment with a minute left in the session.
Calix Poon moves up to 11th with a 2:06.84, getting the job done there.
Well, that's right where he needed to put himself to at least be in with a chance. He's going to be 2 spots ahead of Cleland, so...
This is an interesting strategy. Nathan Anderson is just commencing his fast lap. So I'm not sure he's in the right area of the track to get it done with qualifying finishing. It's about 25 seconds left. He should get the lap finished as he comes around through the last segment of the track here. He's going to cut it really close. Like, it literally is going to tick over 10 minutes just after he crosses the line. So
tell you what, that Merc is pretty. He's got the old Russell Ingall Vortex skin.
Actually, didn't Craig Lowndes run that skin when... Oh, he's off track. The left's not going to count, is it?
No, it was past the line. Was it? No, it didn't count.
It didn't count a lap. So missing out on that one, unfortunately. He's going to start from 26th position. So I thought that might have been the livery that the guys ran when Lowndes Van Gisbergen and Jamie Whincup ran the Merc at
That's
the...
what it was.
Yeah,
I was trying to remember it because I had a distinct memory in the back of my mind that there was something to do with Lowndes and Caltex as well, and I couldn't remember quite what it was because you've also got to remember he had that. I think his last car,
we've got
probably
to
the two
go
most
through the grid.
iconic. Yeah, Lowndes cars were probably the green-eyed monster.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
that was such a pretty car. And then I actually really liked his last livery that he ran, the Autobahn one, or alternatively some of the Red Bull khaki liveries.
They were all good. So we're going to run through the grid quickly here with a fairly short run up to the start of the lap under the pace car. So we've got championship elect winner Dave Sanford on pole position ahead of Taylor Cochran. That's a good result for him. We've got Ryan Wood in third with Ian Bevan fourth. Caleb Curry fifth. Andrew Waite in sixth. We've got Scotty Hasler who moved up into seventh spot. Elliot Osborne 8th, Mitchell McLeod 9th, and Paul Blomqvist in 10th. Calix Poon 11th, getting that done on his last lap just before the session closed. Sam Dunstall 12th. As we roll back through the grid here, Hamish Cleland, he's got some work to do with Kevin Vu, Graham Smythe and Stuart Patterson rounding out position 16. Matthew Griffin and Christian Hermanson on the next row, 17th and 18th respectively. We've got Cale James and Aaron Hatton next, followed by Donnelly, O'Loughlin, Cairns and Beecroft rounding out the top 24 in once again a really strong NZSR field. We've got Cam Cairns, Nathan Anderson, Callum Pratt, Lance Childs, Harry Edwards, and rounding out our 30 cars starting on the grid tonight is Nelson Hartley.
Tell you what, good number that. 30 cars as well. So Aaron Hatton didn't make the grid, so he'll get shuffled all the way back through to 30th.
So he might be electing to start from pit lane.
Not a bad choice. Well, it's only a 30-minute race, so you're really pushing yourself to try and get back up there. But anyway, safety car pulls off towards the inside. The field is in David Sanford's hands. He gets an almighty jump. And all of a sudden, Taylor Cochran drops a few places down as Ryan Wood inherits second place.
Yeah, well, that's a big open there as we see a Ferrari moving right across onto the inside of the track. That might have been Ian Bevan there, just really getting aggressive to make sure that he defended the line there in fifth place. And it looks like Ryan Wood's having some internet connection issues there as he jumps right up onto the back of Dave Sanford. As we head down in through turn 2, important to get it done there. Yes, and I was waiting for that. And there's a few cars off in the background as well. Cold tyres through that corner. If you don't get the car turned in, you will not get out the other side. So disappointing there. That was actually Ian Bevan and Cleland who went sliding down the order. So that will have championship implications here as the guys try to pull those cars up, heading down into this section of the track, turn 4. And again, off camber over the top here. Watch to see if we get a spin. I reckon that it's every chance as there's bumper-to-bumper action going up under the bridge there as we're on board with Mitchell McLeod in the Audi. This first lap here is always a challenge on cold tyres. It's a fantastic racetrack and it's very challenging in those early laps.
Yep, it's about risk management, isn't it? Those first couple of laps. How hard do you want to push? Look, it's so easy to make a gain when the field is bunched up and everyone's right there. As we flick through, Cale James, Damien Cairns, fair few drivers, feels really nice and bunched up throughout the early laps.
Oh, we've got a car way wide there down on the inside. Not sure if he's going to get that back on, is he? Yeah, he's done a great job in making sure that thing stays straight down the inside. That was Paul Blomqvist, I believe. We've got some tracks off on the inside there. Who was that? Ryan Wood out of this race.
Just outbraked himself, and you mentioned it, cold tyres. Sanford leads us away by a clear margin, given that Ryan Wood found his way into the wall at the end of the back straight. So he'll pick himself up a neat and tidy 1.3 second advantage at this early stage. Taylor Cochran, Caleb Curry. Now Curry, if he finishes in third, I'd expect him to jump up 1, potentially 2 spots. So now it's going to be down to Ian Bevan, who is running down in 24th spot. Hamish Cleland has been towed back to pits by, or he's doing drive-through at this point in time as well. Could be opting to take his early pit stop out of the way and get that one served, pop back out with no traffic in front of him. So a few different strategies playing through, but it's now, look, the dice have been rolled. All of a sudden, it's Bevan and Cleland with a lot to do here.
I absolutely love that expression in motorsport, rolling the dice, because it's exactly what you have to do sometimes to try and make the race happen for you. You've had a poor qualifying session or you've got a bad start. You've got to try something different. There's no point in just driving around in the train and hoping that someone else's race befalls them and helps you out. So you just got to do what you can do here. So maybe doing that, as you suggest, getting that out of the way early on, but doing a good job the rest of the field here and getting through. I particularly love the Audi and what is happening here. Thanks very much there, Jordan. I'm not sure how that got missed. Yes, we are. I'll get that sorted out after the broadcast for you. Thanks for bringing that to our attention. We'll make sure that happens. Jordan just asking there if we're still accepting league requests for our Indy Pro Series. We most certainly are. But getting back to the race here, this mid-pack battle here, there's actually a couple going on. We've got probably 3 packs of cars now as the field starts to separate out. You can see that on the track map on the right-hand side of your screen as you're looking at it. We're on that very first grouping of cars here. What I'm going to do is jump backwards and we'll have a look at the battle here where that Max Donnelly is not involved in. I'm not sure what happened there. Excuse me. It's obviously just a little bit behind him there. There we go. So we've got here James Griffin and O'Loughlin along with Caleb Beecroft and Callum Pratt, all covered by a quite small margin between them all. And
multiple cars just starting to pull off into the pit lane and get their services done. So Osborne, Max Donnelly, Matthew Griffin, Callum Pratt, Christian Hermanson all serving their stops thus far. The list of drivers who have served their pit lanes is Graham Smythe, Hamish Cleland and Stuart Patterson get added to that list, and Aaron Hatton started from pit lane.
And a good strategy for those guys if they want to try and get some clear air to keep this, nice and clean, or as clean as they can do for themselves. They might be quicker than the grouping of cars that they're in, and it just gives them that ability to try and get out and create a gap as we jump back on board with Taylor Cockerton now in second place.
Yeah, so Cockerton has allowed Sanford to sort of slip away.
But he's under pressure from Curry.
That's what I was just about to say. Well, a few different ways that Curry can really try and apply the pressure. I'd be looking to just be consistent, just be smooth from Curry's standpoint at this point in time. Sitting, I believe it was either 3rd or 4th in the championship right now. The implications for Bevan and Cleland's races are absolutely massive. So he doesn't necessarily need to be all over the back end of Cockerton. Maybe apply it towards the back end of the race as Cockerton runs really wide through the sweeper on the straight. It's allowed Curry to dive down the inside. Will he be able to get the move done under brakes? He gets it done well beforehand and turns the car in. Well, that's second place for Curry. If he can drive away with this one, then Bevan's got it. Bevan and Cleland have got a lot to do.
They definitely have it all to do. That early start for them not helpful at all, and definitely needing to battle their way back up through the field. The early pit stop not working for them. They're going to have to play the long game tonight.
If you were in Bevan and Cleland's shoes, given the mistakes they made on the opening laps, do you think it could be nerves? Do you think they've been in this position before where they've got to close the deal?
I don't know if it's nerves or not. I mean, you know how it is racing around this track on cold tyres. It's very easy to run wide. It's easy to get a poor qualifying time if you don't quite get the car turned in or don't quite get the run down the back straight. So it's easy enough for them to have made the potential errors, we'll call them errors for what they are, in those sessions earlier on, and then struggle through the race. So there's a solid pack, not a lot of room, cold tyres. There's plenty of reasons for what we've seen so far tonight.
All right, well, time to have a little bit of a look right throughout our field. I tell you what, that Curry and Cockerton battle, I think we're going to be seeing that one just as close right at the end of the race, whether or not Cockerton's able to utilise the draft in his favour. But hey, look, I think anytime we've got a battle this close for an extended period of time, it's good for all of us. Movers and shakers right now. Mitchell McLeod is +4 positions. Nathan Anderson +15 in that beautiful Vortex Mercedes. Braden O'Loughlin +10, Caleb Beecroft +11, Nelson Hartley +16, and Harry Edwards +14. Now, those guys are going to be majorly affected by the pit stop strategies, shuffling drivers who would be out on track in front of them, behind them for the near future. But it'll be interesting to see if some of those drivers peel into the pit lane very soon just to cover off the undercut, maybe cut off some of that clear air that their rivals would be having and generate some of their own.
Sorry, I just missed the cue there that you were talking about, Anderson, as you set up 15 spots. Nelson Hartley also up 16, so big movers up. But Ian Bevan there, as we see, that is Lance Childs, I believe, off down the inside there. And he has safely rejoined, fortunately, but definitely going to have a little bit of damage to the backside of that car. We've got Hasler Poon and Vu all in the pit lane as well.
I like that from Poon. I really, really like that from Calix Poon. Again, just trying to cover everyone off, see what he can get done. Nathan Anderson is going to slide down and get his service done. The driver I would love to see, and he's just made his way into the lane, Ian Bevan. He was just starting to get held up by a large grouping of traffic, and the best possible thing he can do for his race right now is get into the pits, drive down, collect some extra fuel, and reset his mind state as well. So what's going to happen is that a lot of these drivers are going to be pushing on their tyres at different phases throughout the race. They can overheat them if they're scrubbing their tyres too much. One of the benefits of having to serve a quick pit lane drive-through, grab a couple seconds worth of fuel and get back out on track, as we're actually seeing a few overtakes for position. Andrew Waite's coming under a lot of pressure from Mitchell McLeod's Audi, right up underneath the rear wing of that thing right now, and the Minion liveried BMW isn't making a friend in its rearview mirror.
No, absolutely not, and he's got to get it done. Wait, a solid performer as well, so that we'll keep an eye on this battle. I just switched across to it as you were running us through the pit stop strategy there. And it is a good move to get out of the traffic if you can and make your own lap pace. So we'll see how that plays out. We've interestingly enough as well got a few new drivers in the series tonight. I noticed, I'm assuming Cairns, whether it's Cam Cairns and Damien Cairns are brothers, or what the case might be, but they're new arrivals to the series tonight, potentially having run with this before, running 10th and 11th, up 17 and 15 positions respectively as we jump on board with them there, and they're doing a great job. So hopefully they can continue on with this series as we get into what we get into beyond it in the next couple of weeks.
Good to see them round the traps. David Sanford right now has jumped out to a 3.4 second lead, and I'll tell you what, Curry and Cockerton still going out at 0.3 of a second between the two drivers after 10 minutes of racing. That's it. The only mistake either of them has looked like making is when Cockerton made a little bit of a boo-boo and got a little bit off track, and Curry decided to slide down past him. But other than that, it's pretty much been back and forth in terms of lap times. I tell you what, Curry isn't able to get away from Cockerton. Cockerton's really utilising the maximum out of that draft.
And you know what else has just happened while we've been talking about that? Mitchell McLeod not able to get the job done there. He has gone through into pit lane just to give himself exactly what we're talking about there. He's got out of this battle here that we jump back on board with Paul Bloomquist and Sam Dunstall battling away there. He was right in the wing of all of this going on with Waite, Bloomquist and Dunstall, and he's just pulled out. He'll get tyres. His tyres will actually last... he'll get fuel. His tyres will cool down, last a little bit longer as we get deeper into this race. Again, I'm with you on that sort of thing. I like that as a strategy. He'll make those positions back up.
I mean, it's not for everyone, right? It's about, is there a hole in traffic? How early can I get down there without hampering my tyres at the back end of the race? Because remember what we were talking about, that temperature build-up? It can get quite heavy. So right about now is maybe the peak time to really be going through. If you are thinking about it, you've allowed your tyre temperature to come up, really peak, and then you want it to dip just a little bit so you get a few extra laps worth of performance, which is what the undercut that some of these drivers will be going for. If they were going fresh tyres, which they won't be in this race, you'll never see a fresh set of tyres utilised in a half an hour race. But it will drop the temperatures back down from their peak a little bit, put them maybe more towards that Goldilocks zone worth of temperature, get a lap or two of optimum performance out of their tyres before they drift back up into that higher range again. And that's where the undercut can really be most effectively utilized is getting out in clear air, and instead of all that pace being wasted sitting underneath the rear wing of a car ahead and attempting to try and get past somebody, you're using it on a clear track instead, then making a virtual pass, if you will.
Yeah, so I've just jumped on board while I was looking back through the field there with Donnelly, Hermansen and Anderson, who are all racing for position. This is for 19th, 20th and 21st, so really close here, as you can see there. Anderson having a dig down underneath, actually pushing Hermansen wide there, so I'm not sure if he'll end up getting some sort of penalty as a consequence of that, with Smith taking advantage as well. Sorry, my apologies, Smythe taking advantage as well. So a little bit of a push through there. This now gapping out this battle, but it's been raging for a little while as well. Cleland's still in the pits repairing damage, so he is effectively out of this championship race at this point in time. So that definitely has implications as a result of this. We've got still this battle of Waite, Blomqvist and Dunstall going on. What I'm watching is to see where O'Loughlin comes back into this as a consequence of their pit stops.
Interesting development. Nathan Anderson black flagged for that dive down the inside of, was it Hermansen?
Mm-hmm.
I could see Hermansen and Anderson were both actually quite vigorous on the radio immediately after that one, and Brayton's made the call and said, yep, look, you weren't going to be able to pull up for the corner, get by him and make it through there side by side. So yes, that's not a racing incident. That deserves a drive through the pit lane.
Yeah, and I think that's the right call.
Yeah, I agree with that one as well. It's when you're looking at incidents, if you weren't going to make the corner without running into somebody, well, that's an easy black flag, and I think that's what Anderson did there.
Yeah, absolutely, because it just means you would have ended up off in the bushels anyhow. So using someone else's Armco is not the way to go. So a good call there. So we've still got this battle, Caleb Curry and Taylor Cockerton still battling it out at the front here for second and third position in the race. They haven't let up all night. That's going to be wearing on them as well as we continue to get through this race. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting here as Sanford does get into pit lane. He is the first of this lead pack to pick, and Curry and Cockerton follow suit and get into pit lane as well. So does Waite, Blomqvist, Dunstall. So this is proving to be the popular lap. So,
yep, so Cam Cairns, Hartley and Childs are the only three not to have pitted so far.
Yeah. So they'll jump out and keep trying to run, but they probably won't be able to run far enough to get an undercut of some sort done. I certainly don't think so.
So, Cairns is in, whether or not the cars are running at it. Well, it's the halfway point, I suppose, as well. So
it makes sense. Lance Child comes in as well. So you can say that Dave Sanford's actually going to probably lead this one from start to finish, as no one passed him while he was in the pits. But interestingly enough, Caleb Curry is going to get out in front of Taylor Cockerton. So he has done a slightly shorter pit stop in terms of pit lane transit. So his stationary times, they're about the same for both drivers. He's made most of that up in the entry to pit lane.
So Mitch McLeod has had an incident off track and has ended up removing himself from the server. Not happy with the way he was driving by the sounds of things, and he's left the race, which is unfortunate given that he had a real opportunity to make something tonight. And I'm looking forward to seeing him and seeing what he can produce out of his talents in the future. Nathan Anderson, unhappy with his penalty, has opted to call it a night as well.
That's disappointing. I think he'll watch back through the footage and realise he was in the wrong.
He's on the chat, unfortunately, in game and actually trying to argue against it. So, look, I think from his point of view, probably definitely worth another look. But the call's made, and you got to stick with race control, unfortunately. I think we talked about it quite extensively last week at Spa about some of the decisions that Brayton has had to make. And especially on Tuesday night as part of a dirt series, and he's gotten them largely right at such a rapid pace that it's actually been, to have a race control operator of his standard has been phenomenal for this series, I think.
Yeah, and I think, it's interesting. I was having a chat with a couple of other sim racers last night, and obviously this is a New Zealand series, but there's this over-reliance on race control in iRacing to to make things happen. It's like there's no responsibility sometimes for the drivers to make sure that they don't cause events, and they just rely on race control to penalise whoever does things potentially the wrong way. And it's something that probably needs to be adjusted a little bit, particularly in the V8. In the V8 leagues is where it's heavy, that it's expected that there's race control, and it's expected that people will be penalised for driving poorly, and as they should be. But it's bad that the situation is that we rely so heavily on rule makers and adjudicators to make sure that drivers do the right thing. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the responsibility of the drivers to do it, not the race control to adjudicate on it.
No, just who's running wide there? Was that Blomqvist just running wide and allowing Hasler?
And allowing Hasler to get back up on the inside of him here down into the turn. He's going to miss out anyway, because even with Blomqvist running wide, he's going to get the job done on the inside line down here. Thanks for the like there, Patrick. Appreciate it. And he's going to get the key, be able to defend the position.
So Andrew Waite's actually doing a phenomenal job this evening. He's only up 2 spots, but for me, he's actually running quite high up the order for where he normally would be. But that's a really solid qualifying performance to have qualified at 6 for Andrew Waite. Normally, he's running towards the tail end of the top 10, so he's pulled some magic out of the hat here. Maybe Road America is his preferred venue for New Zealand sim racing.
Thanks for the like there, Derek. Yeah, and that's it. I mean, you know how it is week to week. Some drivers are stronger on some tracks than others, so this one clearly suiting his driving style. And obviously that battle between Blomqvist and Hasler behind him, helping him pull that little bit of a gap because he's not involved in it anymore. So
actually, he's catching. I think he might be catching Cockerton here. You can see them actually directly up the road there. So that's Cockerton and Curry. So Curry's now made a little bit of advantage over Cockerton, whether he was struggling earlier on with maybe pushing a little bit too hard in tyre temperatures. And Cockerton's now the one that's having a few issues. Cockerton grabs a little bit of curving across the grass, pulls it up nicely.
Does he? Jeez, it's deceptive.
Oh,
It looked like he was sliding there, didn't it?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. The GT3 car's brake slide a little. It's not a lock. It's more of you go into the corner a little bit too fast and the rear end just starts to rotate on you, much like a Formula-styled car would. But he's managed to save that one quite nicely.
Thanks for the like there, Doug. As we just jump back here with Osborne, Poon and Vu, they're still going at it, as they have been for a majority of the race outside of when they've been in pit lane. And we've got Poon there just sticking his nose out a little bit just to try and maybe worry Vu into the fact that he's going to try and dive down the inside. But this battle's been pretty good all night long. These guys doing a clean run for us there. We'll just jump on board with Cam Cairns, as I noticed Doug John there in the track, giving him a shout out. He is down in 16th at the moment, but he's up 9 places, so he's done a reasonable job. He will make a little bit of gains, I would think. He's quicker than the guys in front of him by some margin, actually, so expect to see him move up the grid, probably 2 or 3 spots, I think, before, albeit we've got 9 minutes to go, maybe only 2 spots before the end of the race.
Just keeping an eye on a few battles happening throughout. Like that's the part I love about NZSR. We've got drivers of such a breadth of skill, but the battles right throughout are clean, consistent, and it's just an awesome field to watch. As we actually saw on Tuesday night in the dirt as well, the battles there were phenomenal.
Yeah, that's my call of the season so far. That dirt racing, the driving was standard, was fantastic. I think we saw one incident. Really, like one major incident in that racing. There were people, obviously offs and stuff like that. We only saw one where there were multiple cars involved or carts involved in that. So, and it's been the same here, as you say. Like all season long, these guys have run really hard, really clean racing, it's been our privilege to broadcast it.
Just taking a quick look through the timesheets, Ian Bevan is all the way back up to 11th. And although Calix Poon looks like he's 4 seconds up the road, and it's a reasonable margin, I think he's actually catching. His last lap was a 2:07. Wow. Yeah, 2 seconds a lap. So it's only going to be a couple laps, and Bevan's going to be on Poon. And from memory, that's another close battle in terms of the championship. I know Curry was there and thereabouts, but Poon was like 5th or 6th or something as well.
Let's very quickly just bring that up on the screen so we can look at it there. So as you say, Cleland is 3rd, Bevan is 2nd, Poon in 5th. So that Bevan Poon jump there, Ian Bevan wants to make up as much as he can. Obviously, Cleland out of this race, so Bevan's basically got second sewn up at this point in time. Caleb Curry, albeit he is in second place, probably won't make up the gap, I don't think.
Well, it's 12 points, and what's their difference currently?
Well, Curry's
Bevan's
running
11th.
second, and Bevan's 11th. So there may be...
8 points is close, actually.
There may be enough.
Bevan is
Maybe
catching
enough.
Poon, and that, if he can get Poon, and Vu is only just up the road from Poon as well. Osborne's just slid back behind Kevin Vu.
Yeah, there's a grouping here. There's a grouping here. It's possible. Look, it's going to come down. It's going to be real close. It's going to be really close. The one thing that we know is that Curry's not going to improve his position, and Cockenden slipped a little bit further back on him as well. 1.5 seconds, as you can see the gap there on screen. So that battle has settled. Andrew Waite looks like he's settled as well in terms of his lap times out of pit lane. With basically our top 8 drivers now all running in the 207s, except for Dave Stanford, who's running in that mid 206 bracket. So
6.5 minutes left until the session will come to its conclusion for the final time in this season of NZ Sim Racing. I'm putting money on... Well, look, it's going to come down to if Cockerton or Waite make a mistake. With a 10th in between them on the last lap, Waite is actually coming back towards Cockerton.
Yeah,
and if Cockerton makes another mistake, that could be another podium for Andrew Waite. And don't count out Blomqvist
yeah, I was
as
going to
well.
say he's only half a second down the road. That's not much. That's not that much on this track. So
Of the drivers, which position I would prefer to be in? Where Blomqvist is. Because you're going to be hunting down and putting pressure on both of the guys ahead, and you're not under any.
And Blomqvist was the fastest man on the track last time around. So he's coming.
It's going to be tight. It's going to be really tight. Cockerton made up a second on that last lap over Waite. Did he? No, sorry. My apologies. I'm looking at the wrong column. Half a second over Waite. So time's starting to go back in the opposite direction. And what's that? Nearly, 3/4 of a second in favour of Blomqvist as well. So this battle's not over yet. But I tell you what, Waite's having an absolutely awesome first sector. He's blown that gap back out to a second. So just outside draft range is Blomqvist now. So battle to keep our eyes on over the closing stages of the last race of the season.
And it would be remiss.
I'll tell you what.
Go on.
Bevan is 1.6, 1.5, under 1.5 behind Calix Poon, and Poon has just slidden past Kevin Vu as well. So, it is heating up.
So we jump on board now with Calix Poon. It would be very remiss of us not at this point in time to thank the series sponsor SimBlacks for all of your sim racing gear needs, as well as Rush if you're looking to learn to use them or you just want to give it a try. Jump down there. They are open again after the lockdown in Wellington, so jump down and give it a go. They've got the equipment that you need to try to have a go at this, and if you like it, then head over to SimBlacks and grab everything you need to get going. And also AFTERSHOCK PC, our one of our broadcast partners. Everything that you need there to grab a good or great or superb PC, depending on your budget, to get yourself going. So as we're just under 4 minutes to go here in this last race, a bit of a dive there down the inside for Poon on Ian Bevan, but not going to get that one done. Keep
Other
my
way
eye.
around, Bevan just made his way. Poon actually gave up the fight and let Bevan on through. So instead of it being a dive, it was Poon just sort of making way and allowing Bevan to come on through. Bevan's now only 5 spots down on his grid position, and the gap to Curry, it's closing. It's closing, and Osborne's the next car up on the road as well. So that could have more championship implications because Osborne is in the hunt for point standings as well.
Yes, he is, most definitely so. So he'll know that. Sam Dunstall ahead of him, about 8 seconds up the street. So that there is about as high as it looks like it's going to be for Ian Bevan. But I reckon you're right. I reckon he's going to get that done. 3 minutes to go. Last time around, he was 2 seconds a lap quicker. So definitely the potential to close that down with 3 minutes to go. So what will happen here? Our race leader, let's check in with where he is on the track. He's just coming down about halfway around the track. So I reckon what we're going to have here is this lap at least plus one more.
I think that's enough time for Bevan to get by Osborne as well. With the pace that he's showing right now, So that could lock him up. I'd say, without knowing the point scenario, I'd say this pass might be for second place in the championship.
Yeah,
It could very well be for the second place in the Oh, I would not want to be in Bevan's shoes.
I was going to say we'll keep that to ourselves in terms of the points gap, but I think you may well be right. I think this is for second place in the championship. So we need to definitely stick around and have a look at that after the race.
Hasler's just slid past Blomqvist somewhere, because Blomqvist was closing on Andrew Waite, but all of a sudden he's just sort of fallen a little bit by the wayside at this point in time. Waite's not closing, and I think he's too far back off the rear of Cockerton now. So Hasler might be pressuring for another position. He's within a second to Andrew Waite up ahead. Oh, what a time to cross to him.
Yeah, absolutely, and that means that Blomqvist has gone through as well, and you know what that means.
Bevan's coming.
Bevan has made up another spot on the grid. So we just see him duck off into the pits up the top there. That Ferrari is definitely headed back to the factory to be turned into a barbecue or a doormat. So
he's broken something in the suspension too.
Yeah, he's out. He's out. It's crabbed, and he will be out of the race. So it means that there's a little bit less pressure on Bevan to make up an extra spot because he's just had it donated to the cause. And he, however, still very much in pursuit of Elliot Osborne. And just half a second behind him now.
If I'm in Bevan's shoes, I want to guarantee it. I'd love to just put the wood over Osborne in the final race of the season. So they're going to come down the back straight for what is most likely the final time this season. He's within a second to the car in front, which is Elliot Osborne. Closes it all the way up. The gap is now 0.4 of a second. Well, let's stop talking about numbers in terms of time and start looking at the meterage as Bevan tries to close for what is likely to be a last lap maneuver. He's only got a few more corners to run. He's got the back straight as well. So if you can utilize the draft here, I think Osborne is in danger of sliding one spot further down the order tonight.
That's my tip. I think he's going to try and get it down into the end of the back straight. If not, his last opportunity is the last corner. You cannot, or it's very difficult, to make a pass in that chicane up over the crest of the hill. The car upset and you'll ruin your run back down into the main straight. So really here he's got two opportunities left to get this done as he's all over the back of the BMW of Osborne in front of him as the camera there doesn't do us any favours. Defending heavily there, and he's got it done around the outside. Is he going to get... No, he's off. He's off. He's going to get cleaned up. Is he? No, the other driver's doing a great job to avoid him to their peril. And unfortunately, it looks like Elliot Osborne there. It was a solo car accident. Osborne jogging on the spot while that happened. And unfortunately, it looks like that is going to be it. And that's going to definitely impact on the overall result of this championship.
Wow. I tell you what, that might have just handed Caleb Curry second place in the championship. And that is it. That is the last lap completed for NZSR.
We are all over, and we did miss the end of the race there, but Dave Sanford having this one sewn up pretty much from the very first wave of the flag. He's done a great job to take out the championship here for NZSR GT3. Brought to you by Rush Sim Racing and Simblacks, and congratulations to him on the win. We're hoping to see some fairly hefty celebrations here. There's plenty of runoff at Road America for you to do that, and he's just got to load it up and dump the clutch. Hopefully be able to get that done. But congratulations to him for the series win. Caleb Curry, we believe, taking out second place in the championship, so well done to him as well. Certainly going to feature inside the top three. We'll just have a quick look at it there. Ian Bevan is going to drop, I believe, down to third place in that point standing. Certainly Caleb Curry, Ian Bevan and Dave Sanford making up the top three of the championship. We'll confirm that later on in a few minutes. If Brayton's got anything to do with it, I reckon he'll get that done pretty quickly so we know what is going on.
He's so efficient, isn't he?
Well, he had the results of the midget race done while we were still on the air, so doing a great job there. And thank you to him as well. A lot of the drivers on Tuesday night with big raps for what Brayton does, and certainly so do we have the same admiration doing it basically as a hobby, organising this series for the guys, and we thank him for giving us the opportunity to jump on board with NZSR and broadcast this series. Can't wait to get back and do it again when the guys bring out their calendar in 2021. Crazy that we're talking about 2021 already, when it feels like there's a little bit of gamesmanship there, as it feels like 2020 hasn't really ever got out of the starting blocks with everything that we've been going through across both countries.
Well, I'll tell you what, Caleb Curry has joined us in the box. Not our winner this evening, which would be David Sanford. He'll be along momentarily, as he normally is on a Thursday night. Actually, to speak of the devil, David Sanford joins the box literally as I mentioned his name. Mate,
Hey,
are your
mate.
ears burning?
I was doing donuts and I forgot to change over, sorry.
We love the donuts, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, I've just realised I accidentally did an off track when I was on my phone at the end and I've got myself an incident. Damn it. I went for a clean race, but that's okay. Anyway, hi.
I was going to say, I don't think it really matters in the context of everything that's been going on. I don't think it really matters.
Yeah, thanks for doing the series, by the way, guys. Like, for you guys to volunteer and just broadcast it out of the blue means a lot to NZSR. I remember Brayton saying, like, what the hell, these guys want to do it out of the blue. So it's pretty nice of you guys to do that. And, you know, thanks to Brayton for setting it up. And, like, the series wouldn't be made without the competitors either. So thanks to the guys that turn up week in, week out. This has probably been, like, the most popular series apart from the Monday Night Midgets that NZSR's had for some time, so it's been good. Like, and everyone's improving and sort of putting heat on, so it's really cool.
It's being Australian and obviously the New Zealand Australia thing, it always works out the way that it works out. But you guys actually drive so well in both. Like, obviously the midgets that we broadcast, we're fortunate enough to look after the final of the development series. And we were saying just before, the quality of the driving standards in both series is really high. So it's our pleasure to be able to put it on, because we've always got really close racing. Yeah, you guys do a great job in putting on a fantastic show while obviously enjoying yourselves doing it. So it's easy for us to do.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like, you know, Curry's been putting the heat on me like all season, so it makes me practice. Because sometimes, no offense to some guys, like, you can turn up to the NZSR event, you know, sit on the front row, but I know that I've got to practice. I know I've got to get on the night before or the night before that and do some laps with the setup and work on it and stuff. So it's been good. Like, I don't even know who Taylor Cockerton was, and then he was as quick as me in practice today. And that's cool. You know, it's what the series needs.
So, Caleb, just been given a lot of words of encouragement, great raps coming out of David the Man Sanford. But I tell you what, you might have just walked away here with second place in the championship, because Ian Bevan had an absolute shocking evening. We're waiting for points to finalise themselves. So first off, how was your race this evening?
It wasn't too bad. Me and Taylor had a pretty good battle as far as road course battles go, you know. But he put the heat on me for a long time, and I put the heat on him, so it was pretty good. But other than that, it was kind of just cruise. We were never going to catch David out there. He was just too fast.
Ask David if you'll give me some tips next season.
To be honest, he's the reason I've been fast. At the start of the series, start of the GTE series, just before this one, I wasn't too flash hot. Like, I wasn't bad, and he's actually coached me sort of to get faster and faster. So yeah, his little semi-protege is kind of biting at his heels now, I guess.
We love hearing that. Actually, it's one of the good things about the series when we get involved, to see drivers helping other drivers get faster. It makes the racing better, so that's good.
Yeah, yeah. So obviously, I got to thank David a lot for what he's done for my road racing lately. But the NZSR series has 2 drop rounds, so I actually missed a round, and I had a really bad. Oh, my connection, my computer froze at Monza before the start, so I had 2 really bad races. So these last 2 events have really put the heat on me. So when those 2 drop rounds happen, I think I should have second.
That Yeah, that might change things because that's not something I even factored in. And that actually might leave Corbett where he is in terms of the standings as well, as I know a lot of our audience. The Tommy Corbett fan club harass us every week, and they can keep doing it because it's fantastic. But that changes championship implications of that last round as well. So Curry's done everything he can.
I
Cleland's had a bad round.
think Curry gets it
I would say he
because
would, yeah.
Ian stays where he is. Curry had a round out of the top 10, and so he just removes that. And yeah, I think he just got second. I think.
Drop
And
rounds
Ian-
make the points and the mathematics just so much more difficult,
I was
but
going
it's
to say, it
also
makes
more
it a little
fun.
more difficult for Brayden
Yeah.
to get it done. He got it done pretty quickly with the midget development, so we'll just stick around for
Yeah,
it.
he'll do it tonight because it's the last one. But I'm gonna go get some dinner, boys, because I haven't eaten since 12. So thank you so much for doing the series again. Hopefully, you get in touch with Brayton and sort something out for the future. You guys have been really cool, and thanks to everyone that tunes in and stuff. Like NZSR is not a very big road community, so I always try and turn up and just give them some numbers. And like Brayton's one of my best mates, so I'll definitely just help him out whenever he needs some people in there and all that jazz. So anyone watching, just have a go. Who cares? Like the racing's
we've
fun
got
at the end of the day.
the two Cairns boys that showed up, I believe, for the first time this evening, and Cam
Yeah.
was saying there at the end of the race that he had a phenomenal battle with somebody he's never raced against before. So
Yeah, it's sort of like sometimes, when I did that last to first challenge last week, that was the most fun race I've had all week, like all season, sorry, because I just got to race people that I don't see, and it's a cocky thing to say, but like it was fun. And people, people don't realize how fun these fixed series can be until they actually get in there and they're like, half an hour races are so simple. This whole meeting's done in an hour. Like it's simple as it's not your
And that's its appeal,
3
I
hour
reckon.
sessions on,
Yeah.
it's not your 3 hour race sessions and your practice and your pre-qualifying and all sorts of. It's just get in, have a blat, get out, like enjoy it, and that's what what it's prided on pretty much. So
Go and
yeah.
keep the wife happy.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, thank you so much, boys. I'll talk to you
No, we
later.
appreciate your participation. We'll see you next season or in the fun that's to come.
All right, cool, mate. Cheers.
So it does look like there's a little bit more calculation to go on tonight than last night. On Tuesday night. So we may well have to bring the results post race, I think, for this one. So
probably, yeah.
A great race again tonight, as you alluded to. There's some excitement to come with NZSR looking at doing an LMP2 series, which will be a short series between now and the end of the year. And I know there's some other stuff that we're working on in the background. So plenty to come. If you've enjoyed the racing, we've certainly enjoyed having you company on FGM ECast. Tomorrow night, we do have our IndyCar series on running from Pocono in our first oval track round. So if you're interested in the IndyCar stuff, we've got both the Pro Mazda short race starting at 7 o'clock, followed by the Dallara 18 full race, which is on from around about 8 o'clock, both from Pocono. So jump on, join us. We'd love to have you on the chat and getting involved in that one. And that'll be brought to you by AFTERSHOCK PC. Once again, thank you, Scotty, for another cracking week, mate. We've had a bit of variety this week, which I've enjoyed, and I think it's been a cracker. Definitely some of the best racing we've seen since we've been doing this. So, what's on for you, mate, for the weekend? We're done for the week.
I'm trying to find a little bit of time in the schedule to come and join in tomorrow night. Other than that, Imola 3 hours is coming live on Saturday evening from 7 till 10 on my channel.
What is that channel, mate? Where can people watch that?
Twitch.tv/Rankonius. That's spelled RANKONIUS. So me and another good Australian friend of mine aiming to do the entirety of the next season of the VRS GT 3 hours. So that's exciting. Look, Geordie's been absolutely cracking so far today in terms of pace. Put a lot of time and work in. So we hopefully have one of the quickest cars in the bottom split.
Oh, well, that would be good. And we've got Father's Day on Sunday, so I will not be streaming on Sunday. I have more important things to do, slow cooking some beer can chicken and doing some other bits and pieces like that. But on Saturday night, I will be doing a little bit of Madden, which arrived in the mail again today. It's great that you pre-order these things and they turn up a week after everyone else gets it. But be that as it may, first world problems, I'm not that concerned it's turned up. So I'm going to jump on and do a little bit of Madden and probably a little bit more golf as well on Sunday afternoon on FGM ECast outside of our commitments with the IndyCar series tomorrow night. So, Scotty, hopefully we do see you there, whether it be in Pro Mazda or otherwise. And I look forward to bringing that race to everyone tomorrow night. You always ask, have you got anyone to thank tonight, Scotty? Anyone to say thanks to before we head off?
Yeah, my lovely wife.
I figured that might be it.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, when you've got somebody in your life that supports what you do as thoroughly as she does, it makes your passion just that much sweeter, and some of the experience, and it's not just for me as well. I share a lot of my experiences with her, and it's so nice to be supported by somebody. But recently, I think the biggest shout out actually has to go to my parents. I had taken a long-term hiatus from commentating, and they said, "Hey, look, we're looking for a commentator. Would you want to come up and commentate the finals of the state titles for short course road racing?" And I said,
Hey.
"Yeah, look, it's something different. Let's give it a crack and see what happens." And well, I got bit by the commentating bug, and that's how I ended up finally meeting Stuart through a long series of events. The end of down the rabbit hole, I suppose.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
look, I haven't looked back, and I'm enjoying myself so thoroughly with content and racing the likes of what we've seen tonight and both on Tuesday night. I look forward to turning my computer on so I can do some more commentating, and so thank you to you as well, Stuart, for everything, as well as our lovely competitors.
Yeah, absolutely, and I certainly wasn't looking for a backhanded compliment there, but thank you for joining me. It makes my Tuesdays and Thursday nights a little bit more interesting, certainly. And it's probably the hardest thing to do, to talk for a couple of hours straight without anyone else interacting. So no, we
Isn't it?
love having you on board. It's been good, and excited about the future. There's plenty to come on this channel, and we're working hard in the background to make things happen. So. Thank you to everyone, including likewise my dear wife and my very understanding two kids who definitely want to play Minecraft a lot more than they wish I was commentating. So looking forward to spending Sunday with them and just kicking back a little bit as we do. So last but not least, thank you to everyone who's watched the channel tonight from your Pace for Place FGM ECast. We appreciate your participation, and we'll see you tomorrow night for some IndyCar action from Pocono live on the channel from 7 p.m. Thanks very much, and enjoy the rest of your evening.